G'day guys, welcome back to Doug Monos, back with Craig. Thanks for coming back, mate.
No, pleasure.
So, for a bit of fun today, you're going to like the video before we get started, subscribe to the channel, and all that good stuff. We're going to take a political compass test and video answers, see where we fall. I don't know, are you familiar with the test at all?
Never done one before.
So I'll predict that I would land like centre-right economically and hard like libertarian socially. But anyway, we'll take the test and see where we go, and then I think we'll shoot another video after, but let's get into it. So how this test works, you answer a series of questions and then it'll tell you where you fall on a spectrum from left to right economically and from authoritarian to libertarian socially. So this is at politicalcompass.org. So let's get into it. So if economic globalization is inevitable, it should primarily serve humanity rather than the interests of transnational corporations. And so each question's got 4 answers. You can strongly disagree, agree, or strongly agree. I would strongly agree with that, Craig.
I'm much the same. It's pretty straightforward, I feel.
Second question. I'd always support my country whether it was right or wrong. I would strongly disagree.
Yeah, absolutely.
No one chooses their country of birth, so it's foolish to be proud of it. I'd also strongly disagree.
Yeah, same thing.
Our race has many superior qualities compared to other races. I'd strongly disagree.
Yeah.
The enemy of my enemy is my friend. I would disagree. Disagree, not strongly disagree.
I think I'd probably agree, but not strongly agree,
Righto.
personally.
Military actions that defy international law is sometimes justified. I would disagree, but not strongly disagree.
Yeah, I'm going to go disagree as well. I think it's depends on the circumstance.
Yeah. There is now a worrying fusion of information and entertainment. I would strongly agree.
Yeah, absolutely. Next page.
People are ultimately divided more by class than nationality. I would strongly agree.
I'd agree with that. I think there's a bit of both. But...
Yep. Controlling inflation is more important than controlling unemployment. I would agree, not strongly agree.
Yeah, I'm much the same.
Because corporations cannot be trusted to voluntarily protect the environment, they require regulation. I would have to agree, not strongly disagree. I'd reluctantly agree. I'd like to be sort of somewhere between agree and disagree. Craig?
Yeah, I'm much the same. It's a bit hard to say that corporations aren't going to take advantage of it if they're not regulated. So, absolutely.
From each according to his ability, to each according to his need is fundamentally a good idea. From each according to his ability, to each according to his need. I would strongly disagree. I'd strongly disagree. So basically saying like everyone, take the goods, the product of their labour according to their ability to produce it, and distribute it to people according to their need, regardless of whether they produce anything in return. I'd strongly disagree.
Yeah, I'd have to say the same thing.
The freer the market, the freer the people. I would strongly agree.
Yeah, absolutely.
It is a sad reflection on our society that something as basic as drinking water is now bottled and branded consumer product. I would disagree, but not strongly disagree. I think there's some problems with ethics of where some of these companies are getting their water from and getting a stranglehold on like fresh water supplies and monetizing it, but there's fundamentally nothing really wrong with bringing that product to market if people want to buy it, but sourcing it, I guess, can lead to some ethical issues for me. So I disagree, but not strongly disagree.
Yeah, I disagree as well, mainly because, like, fair enough in, countries and places where water isn't readily available, but I mean, the other argument would be is if you don't want it monetized, you can somehow get it yourself. So
yeah, exactly. You don't in most Western countries, we're not forced to buy bottled water, so you're empowering. Like, if you don't like the corporation selling bottled water, don't buy it.
Yeah, exactly.
Convince others not to buy it.
Yeah.
Land shouldn't be a commodity to be brought and sold. I strongly disagree. There's a case for national parks and that sort of thing, but on the whole, I think people have the right to buy land and own land.
Yeah, I'd disagree. I don't know if I'd go strongly disagree, just because I feel like probably more on the national park side a little bit, but I do also see the fact that if you can't kind of identify what is yours or ownership on something, then there's probably a certain amount of chaos involved in that. Yeah,
I think you take away the right to own land or aspire to own land, and that's sort of one of the cornerstones of being a free sovereign person.
Yeah.
It is regrettable that many personal fortunes are made by people who simply manipulate money and contribute nothing to their society. I would actually agree with this. Should put me I would imagine put me on the left side of the compass, but I would actually agree with that. The market should be more driven by people who produce a good or service.
Yeah.
And less by speculation.
Yeah, definitely.
Protectionism is sometimes necessary in trade. I would reluctantly agree, because I think free trade's a good idea on the surface, but it has to be reciprocal, and there's a lot of Western countries that have gotten themselves into trouble by going into blanket free trade agreements with countries that don't have the same labour conditions and pay rates and things like that, and you're just shooting yourself in the foot. So some protection is sometimes regrettably necessary.
I think for me, arguably, mainly because the country we are, I'd strongly agree, because I feel like we have probably not protected things very well.
I don't like the fact that it's necessary, but it is. I'd say free trade's not fundamentally a bad problem, but you can't. If you're going to pay workers $40 an hour in your country to make something, then you can't have blanket free trade with a country you pay them $2 a week and then expect local manufacturers to compete.
Yeah.
The only social responsibility of a company should be to deliver a profit to its shareholders.
Strongly disagree.
I would disagree. Yeah, disagree, not strongly disagree. No, I'm not going to go into it too much, but the rich are too highly taxed. I would agree, not strongly agree. I think it sort of depends on the circumstance, but the rich, quote unquote, pay a large portion of the tax pool.
Yeah.
But there is a problem where the tax code's so convoluted that you sort of have to get to the point where you earn a certain amount of money so that you can afford a good accountant, so you can find all the loopholes. Yeah. If you simplify the tax code, it would be fairer for everyone.
Absolutely, yeah, I agree.
But yeah, the idea that the rich don't pay their fair share in tax is fundamentally pretty flawed.
Yeah.
Those with the ability to pay should have access to higher standards of medical care. I would strongly agree.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
If you're willing to and able to.
Yeah. Government should penalise businesses that mislead the public. I would agree, but not strongly agree. You need to have a very solid system. You don't just have to have a solid legal system underpinning who decides what is misleading.
Yeah, exactly.
but yeah, like if a business is knowingly, intentionally misleading their customers, then something should be done about it. But you can go too far with that as well. Genuine free market requires restrictions on the ability of predator multinationals to create monopolies. Yeah, I agree.
I feel like that goes back to the other question before about free market and the ability to protectionism and stuff like that. It's like same thing.
Yeah, it's more like monopolies. So we'll probably get into this, but yeah, you do have to have some sort of protection against like the creation of monopolies, like what we're currently seeing with like social media companies. Sorry, YouTube. But yeah, when you the behaviour of like Facebook, Twitter, leave YouTube out of it. But when they've effectively got a monopoly on the product that they offer, and now we're seeing them collude with internet service providers, server hosts to basically squash their competition. They're using all sorts of rubbish like excuses to do it, but that's what's happening. It's anti-competitive, and it's shady in my opinion. So absolutely. Regretfully agree. Abortions, when a woman's life is not threatened, should always be illegal. I would disagree. Honestly, that's a fucking real sticky topic. I'd like to be neutral on it. I'd just say, like, I think it's not a perfect world. It's not something that should be sort of celebrated. I think they, should draw the line somewhere, maybe between like conception and birth. But yeah, I think probably having that option like in an imperfect world is okay. All authority should be questioned. Strongly agree.
Yep, definitely.
An eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth. Honestly, I agree. Not strongly agree. Taxpayers should not be expected to prop up any theatres or musicians that cannot survive on a commercial basis. I strongly agree.
Yeah, definitely.
Schools should not make classroom attendance compulsory. I would agree.
I've got to disagree on that. I feel like there's no point in coming if you can't at least say that you've got to attend. You've got to have.
I don't think you should be forced to go to school. I think it should be up to the parents, like how you raise your kid, and what you decide to teach them. But that's you talk about that for a long time. But I would agree. All people have their rights, but it is better for all of us that different sorts of people should keep to their own kind. I disagree. Honestly, I'm neutral on that. Like if people willingly want to keep to their own kind, I think that's your right to do so. But it's a different thing if you're like forced to segregate.
Exactly.
But if you willingly do it and you're more comfortable with your own kind, whatever, all power to you. Good parents sometimes have to spank their children. Disagree. Honestly, neutral. That's you can't talk about that too much.
Look, I'll say neutral, but I'm probably on the agree side more so.
It's natural for children to sometimes keep secrets from their parents. Strongly agree.
Yeah, definitely.
Possession of marijuana for personal use should not be a criminal offence. I would strongly agree. It shouldn't fucking possession of it for selling it shouldn't be a criminal offence.
Not get started on that.
The prime function of schooling should be to equip future generations to find jobs. I would agree, not strongly agree. Honestly, I'll agree, not strongly agree. People with serious inheritable disabilities should not be allowed to reproduce. I strongly disagree.
You can't enforce that.
The most important thing for children to learn is to accept discipline. I strongly disagree.
Well, I would agree. The wording is annoying because it's the most important. Disagree. I'd have to say.
There are no There are no savaged and civilized people. There are only different cultures. There are no savage and civilized peoples. There are only different cultures. I think that's a stupid question. I'll say disagree.
Yeah.
But yeah, the question's not worded very well. Those who are able to work and refuse opportunity should not expect society's support. Strongly agree.
Yeah, definitely. Absolutely.
When you are troubled, it's better not to think about it, but keep busy with more cheerful things. Yeah, strongly agree, I guess. I don't know what that's got to do.
When you're troubled, it's better to not think, I strongly disagree. Absolutely not. I feel like you've got to address that and try and work together.
I would agree, not strongly agree. Yeah, got to address it, but not dwell on it. I don't know what the fuck that's doing in a political compass test, but anyway. First generation immigrants can never be fully integrated within their new country. I would, honestly, neutral. I'd say maybe agree. They're not going to be like, generally they're not going to be like the same as someone born and raised in the country, but some first generation immigrants integrate pretty well into society. Like
I feel like it sounds to a personal level, which is annoying, because the reality is depending on how much you want to. And if you're around the people. So I'm probably going to say disagree on that one. I don't think it's a never. I think you possibly could.
Yeah. What's good for most successful corporations is always ultimately good for all of us.
It's too hard. So, my point would be is I guess we've got to answer the question from like what our political view is, and what I would ultimately want is that yes, the most successful companies is always ultimately good for all of us.
Obviously. Yeah, as long as you address the issues of like monopolisation and anti-competitive behaviour and that sort of thing, I'm going to say strongly agree. As long as all that's addressed, if most successful corporations in your country or in the world are doing well, and they're not being scumbags like Apple, then that does, I believe that trickles down. Like the big corporations create jobs, whether you like it or not.
Definitely.
No broadcasting institution, however independent in its content, should receive public funding. I strongly agree.
Yeah, absolutely.
Fucking,
ABC.
See ya. Our civil liberties are being excessively curbed in the name of counterterrorism. Strongly agree.
Yeah, definitely.
Couldn't strongly agree more.
Absolutely.
A significant advantage of a one-party state is that it provides all the arguments.
It avoids all the arguments.
It avoids all the arguments and delay progress in a democratic political system. I'd strongly disagree. While it might avoid arguments, I think one of the only benefits of a real democracy is that, in my opinion, pretty much every action that government ever takes is a fucking step in the wrong direction. So if you can get government gridlocked, then the best you can hope for is they don't achieve anything.
Yeah.
If you have a government with too much power, then they can do whatever they want, and it's a government doing what they want is usually the wrong thing.
Yeah, definitely.
Although the electronic age makes official surveillance easier, only wrongdoers need to be worried. Strongly disagree.
Yeah, definitely.
The idea, if you're not doing anything wrong, you got nothing to hide, is one of the most idiotic statements ever. I'm not going to get into it any more than that. You either know, you know. If you know, you don't.
Look up the
you're probably not going to.
Archipelago.
The death sentence should be an option for the most serious crimes. I would strongly agree.
Yeah.
But yeah, for the most serious crimes, and you have to have a very, very robust system of keeping police prosecutors accountable, and making sure there's a fair trial and appeals process. But I'm not going to go into the crimes, but yes, I think we all know what we're talking about. In a civilized society, one must always have people above to be obeyed and people below to be commanded. Strongly disagree.
Civilized society, one must always have people above. I would agree because I think society runs on a hierarchy.
Yeah, I believe more in like how by the people, our leaders, like shouldn't be called leaders. They're our servants. They work for us, and that goes for people who work for local governments, elected officials, police. They work for us, and that's been fucking very much forgotten in recent times. The level of accountability to the people they are servants of is woeful, in my opinion. Abstract art that doesn't represent anything shouldn't be considered art at all. I strongly disagree. I don't know what this is doing in here, but art is subjective. Like if there's an audience for your art that enjoy it, then that's art. In criminal justice, punishment should be more important than rehabilitation. I disagree. I guess not strongly disagree. There's some, unfortunately, like there's probably some people who commit some crimes who like rehabilitation's not really an option. And I don't know, believe in God or whatever. God can have mercy. It's not always the job of people on earth to have mercy on some people.
Next question, literally.
It's a waste of time to try to rehabilitate some criminals. I would, I'd agree. I'd agree, not strongly agree. There's it's really like case by case thing.
Yeah.
The business person and the manufacturer are more important than the writer and the artist. I'd have to disagree. I'm pretty neutral, but writers and artists are very important in like influencing culture, and
definitely
they produce
culture as well.
Recording culture and events, and they also like producing a good that in a lot of cases is driving economic activity. So I don't agree with that. No. Mothers may have careers, but their first duty is to be homemakers.
I gotta strongly disagree with that.
Strongly disagree. Multinational companies are unethically exploiting the plant genetic resources of developing countries. Alright, maybe I'm not as smart as I would.
Hang on. So multinational companies are unethically exploiting the plant genetic resources of developing countries. So genetic resources. Genetic is... I got no idea. I'm just going to go disagree.
Yeah, I'm just going to go disagree, but to be honest, I don't know what plant genetic resources. I don't know whether they're talking about the genetic resources of native plants.
Tell us in the comments.
Just let us know. Making peace with the establishment is an important aspect of maturity. Strongly disagree. Making peace with the establishment and their wrongdoings and the problems with it are the reason that we're headed down a bad path.
Absolutely.
And there's a lot of people who've got the wrong ideas on how to fight the establishment or how to do something about it. But I think a lot of people are starting to realise there's a problem with it. We might disagree with what to do about it, but apathy and going along with the establishment is getting us to not a good place.
Yeah, exactly.
Astrology accurately explains many things.
Jesus Christ. Strongly disagree. Get the fuck out of here. What the hell?
Strongly disagree. You cannot be moral without being religious. Strongly disagree. It's not an attack on the religious people. I think a lot of religions give a good framework of how to be moral.
Absolutely.
But you can absolutely be moral without being religious.
100%.
Charity is better than social security as a means of helping the genuinely disadvantaged. I would actually strongly agree. If the charities are doing the right thing, and the money's getting to where it should be going. Charity can start on an individual level, and if you want to help like your friends or people you know that aren't doing so well, that's you're going to have a much stronger desire to make sure your money is well spent than the government is through Social Security. You can. Yeah, you don't have to dig very far to see examples of that, but some people are naturally unlucky. I disagree. I'd strongly disagree. You're not naturally unlucky. Like some people have shocking runs of luck. But you're not like born unlucky. It is important that my child's school instills religious values.
Strongly disagree. In fact, I think it should actually be avoided at all costs.
Look, I'd disagree, not strongly disagree, because of what I said before. I think, you can like go too far with some of it, but some religions do have a pretty good framework for like how to be a good person, but it's not necessary to use that to teach people how to be a good person. I'll just leave it at that. Sex outside marriage is usually immoral. I strongly disagree. Fucking go for it. Same-sex couple in a stable, loving relationship should not be excluded from the possibility of child adoption. I'd strongly agree.
Yeah, definitely.
In some arguments maybe it's like a bit like hard on the kid, but honestly, like if they're both like going to look after the kid, no, I have no problem with it. Pornography depicting consenting adults should be legal for the adult population. Strongly agree.
Yeah, definitely.
What goes on in a private bedroom between two consenting adults is no business of the state. Strongly agree. No one can feel naturally homosexual.
So you've been pressured by society to feel it? Strongly disagree.
These days, openness about sex has gone too far. Honest, like neutral. I probably agree a little bit. Yeah, to be honest.
The same.
Now let's see where you stand.
Right.
Oh dear.
I don't exactly know.
Yeah, so scroll down the bottom.
Oops. Where are you?
Yeah, just a bit more right
economically.
So look, I'll just like read this out. I'll show you. So that's what it looks like, and give some examples here. So Stalin is on the far left economically, and far right, far authoritarian. Hitler is centrist economically and authoritarian. Margaret Thatcher is kind of like halfway authoritarian and pretty far right economically. Milton Friedman is sort of a third of the way down on the libertarian side and far right economically. Gandhi is libertarian and left economically. And I am more libertarian than Milton Friedman, so I'm about halfway down the libertarian spectrum and about a third of the way right economically. That's me.
Yeah,
and
but at two, so not too far away, but pretty.
So a little bit further left economically, but about the same. So a little bit more authoritarian, but not by much, and a little bit left economically. So anyway, go to politicalcompass.org if you want to do that and see, if you want to see where you sit, because a lot of people have an idea of whether they're left or right wing, and it's not always right. To be honest, I don't think that's the greatest test. No. Some of those questions are pretty loosely framed, but it's a start. Check it out, and hopefully that gives you an idea of where I stand on some stuff, so you can watch my other videos with that in mind.
Yeah.
And anyway, drop a comment if you got anything to say. Like the video, subscribe to the channel. Just subscribe is cool to get more subscribers. That helps. If you want to see when I release new videos, get the bell on. If you leave it off, then you'll probably never hear from me, so whatever. Thanks anyway, and we'll see you real soon. Cheers, guys.
Thanks.